He remained silent. It struck him as ridiculous to confess his troubles to a little sister, even if her reports were higher than his. And the little sister struck him as ridiculous to demand his troubles of him. What a soft cheek she has, he thought, as she pressed her face gently against his hand. If he could but tear himself away, it was all so foolish. Only he might hurt her feelings, and in his experience, girls' feelings were very easily hurt. She opened his fingers and kissed the palm of his hand. It was like a rose leaf falling. It was also her way of asking her question over again. "Nothing's the matter," he said decisively, and then, quite inconsistently, he blurted out, "Father!" His worry was now in her eyes. "But Father is so good and kind, Joe," she began. "Why don't you try to please him? He doesn't ask much of you, and it's all for your own good. It's not as though you were a fool like some boys. If you would only study a little bit." "That's it, lecturing," he exploded, tearing his hand roughly away. "Even you are beginning to lecture me now. I suppose the cook and the stable boy will be at it next." He shoved his hands into his pockets and looked forward into a melancholy and desolate future filled with interminable lectures and lecturers innumerable. "Was that what you wanted me for?" he demanded, turning to go. She caught at his hand again. "No, it wasn't. Only you looked so worried that I thought I—" Her voice broke and she began again freshly. "What I wanted to tell you was that we're planning a trip across the bay to Oakland next Saturday for a tramp in the hills." "Who's going?" "Myrtle Hayes." "What, that little softy?" he interrupted. "I don't think she's a softy," Bessie answered with spirit. "She's one of the sweetest girls I know." "Which isn't saying much, considering the girls you know. But go on, who are the others?" "Pearl Sather and her sister Alice and Jessie Hilburn and Sadie French and Edna Cruthers. That's all the girls." Joe sniffed disdainfully. "Who are the fellas, then?" "Morris and Felix Clement, Dick Schofield, Bert Layton, and—" "That's enough. Milk and water chaps, all of them." I wanted to ask you and Fred and Charlie," she said in a quavering voice. "That's what I called you in for, to ask you to come." "And what are you going to do?" he asked. "Walk, gather wildflowers. The poppies are all out now. Eat luncheon at some nice place and—" "Come home," he finished for her. Bessie nodded her head. Joe put his hands in his pockets again and walked up and down. "A sissy outfit, that's what it is," he said abruptly. "And a sissy program. None of it in mine, please." She tightened her trembling lips and struggled on bravely. "What would you rather do?" she asked. "I'd sooner take Fred and Charlie and go off somewhere and do something, well, anything." He paused and looked at her. She was waiting patiently for him to proceed. He was aware of his inability to express in words what he felt and wanted, and all his trouble and general dissatisfaction rose up and gripped hold of him. "Oh, you can't understand," he burst out. "You can't understand. You're a girl. You like to be prim and neat and be good in deportment and ahead in your studies. You don't care for danger and adventure and such things, and you don't care for boys who are rough and have life and go in 'em and all that. You like good little boys with white collars, with clothes always clean and hair always combed, who like to stay in at recess and be petted by the teacher and told how they're always up in their studies. Nice little boys who never get into scrapes, who are too busy walking around and picking flowers and eating lunches with girls to get into scrapes. Oh, I know the kind, afraid of their own shadows, and no more spunk in 'em than in so many sheep. That's what they are, sheep. Well, I'm not a sheep, and there's no more to be said, and I don't want to go on your picnic, and what's more, I'm not going." The tears welled up in Bessie's brown eyes, and her lips were trembling. This angered him unreasonably. What were girls good for, anyway? Always blubbering and interfering and carrying on. There was no sense in them. "A fella can't say anything without making you cry," he began, trying to appease her. "Why, I didn't mean anything, sis. I didn't. He paused helplessly and looked down at her. She was sobbing and at the same time shaking with the effort to control her sobs, while big tears were rolling.